Okay, so I keep seeing shit about the James Charles Kayla Malik situation, so let's talk about it. My credentials are I'm also a domestic violence victim. For those of you who may not be updated on the situation, Kayla Malik was abused by her ex-boyfriend, Evan Johnson. She just took him to court over the issue and she won the case. He is currently in jail, so that's really great, really exciting that we're finally seeing like a victim's voice be heard and be validated, honestly, because from my research, I know that it's estimated about 60% of sexual assaults go unreported, and domestic violence is around the same because it often affects, women are often the victims, and they're not often believed because either there's not a lot of proof because it happened behind closed doors, or a bunch of people side with the man, or there's shame, or the misogyny, and a million other things. And basically, James Charles allegedly bailed Evan Johnson out of jail when he was originally arrested before the trial, and then housed him, and then was having intercourse with him. God, that sounded so Catholic school, but that's the rumor. So, and the internet has really taken that, and there's been a lot of people who are like, canceled James Charles, mass unfollowing, all this stuff on the side of Kayla. And then James Charles posted a video saying, like, no, that never happened. I'm in big support of Kayla. And then a bunch of people flip sides. And that didn't really sit right with me because I remember something similar happening when I was being abused. Basically, after me and my ex-boyfriend broke up, I started being more honest with my friends about the reality of that relationship, which included physical abuse and sexual abuse and emotional abuse. So I would tell them all these things that happened, and I think a lot of them maybe saw signs that looking back they should have clocked that, but at the time they didn't know. Like my ex-boyfriend would, if we had fights, he would stop talking to me for 3 days. Like would either put me on D&D, maybe even block me, I don't know, but would ignore all my texts, all my calls for 3 days. We'd go to the same school, we had classes together, and he would completely ignore me. So when he finally started talking to me, I was so grateful that we could even try to talk it out that I would end up just apologizing for everything. And that was a form of emotional manipulation. So, like, those are the kinds of things that he would do that my friends knew about that, looking back, they were like, ooh, that should have been a sign. But I don't blame any of them because I didn't even clock that it was abuse till after the relationship when I really thought about it. But when I was telling some of my friends, some of them were also friends with my ex-boyfriend because we had a big friend group. And they just decided that they didn't believe me and chose to side with him. And I think had I taken it to court, if I had had much physical evidence, if I had taken it to court, something really similar would have happened, where those friends who didn't want to believe me would have scrambled to say that they never supported him and always believed me and always hoped the best, because they didn't want to see that side of that person that they knew. And I think James Charles is probably the same, where he doesn't want to see Evan Johnson that way, so he's just choosing not to believe it. And then when he's accused of housing an abuser, he's like, no, because he doesn't really believe Evan Johnson is an abuser. And that was really similar with some of my friends too. And I remember feeling so alone and isolated when people that I trusted stopped talking to me because they thought I was lying about my ex-boyfriend, or saying that I was making it up, or that it didn't really matter because we were dating, or it didn't really happen, or I was guilty too, because they were like, okay, well, yeah, he might have hit you, but like, what'd you do to make him hit you? That kind of thing. So unfortunately, this is a really realistic, like, view that's being very publicized, which hopefully will do a lot for domestic violence victims in general. But there's a lot of publicity now of seeing that, like, quick to defend someone, or like how James Charles did not address the rumors for a long time, and it was not until Kayla got it to court that he even addressed that. And then, of course, he shut down the fact that he'd ever support an abuser, which just leads back to the question of why don't people believe victims? And why do they use their platforms to speak out against abuse until it happens to someone they know? And I think that that's just really sad and really awful, and I feel really bad for Kayla because I know that she's had different friends betray her in different ways, whether it be James, or she had a friend who gave her location to her abusive ex-boyfriend when she was hiding from him before court. Like, it sucks a lot. There's a lot of betrayal in that situation, even past being abused by a partner, and it's so hard, and I'm so glad that she got out and she won, and I hope that she has nothing but the best. But yeah, that's my 2 cents.